Hey everybody, it's John DeBellis. You're tuned into The Commons. I'm here today with Jesse Manibusan and Ken Canedo to talk about their song, Where Shall We Go? Stick around. Ken and Jesse,
hey,
good to see you again.
Likewise, John.
You guys look great. We're here today to talk about Where Shall We Go? And I was talking with Ken earlier, Jesse, and maybe you could start the conversation about John chapter 6 and the Eucharist and how that informed and shaped this tune.
Sure. First of all, I've had a song called Where Shall We Go for several years, using it at different parishes, but I've never been satisfied or happy with it. But I have been fascinated by John chapter 6. Because all the evangelists, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and also St. Paul, have a narrative account on the Last Supper, except John. He does the washing of the feet. But it is in John chapter 6 that the church finds its focus, its central teaching on the Eucharist. And so Jesus, at that point of the narrative, had just multiplied loaves and fish. And then he tells his disciples, I am the bread of life. And they're all looking at him. Wait a minute, what do you mean? Feed on you and we shall live forever? Are you crazy? And then they leave him. A lot of his disciples leave him. And then Jesus asks his closest disciples, his apostles, are you also going to leave? And Peter says, Lord, you have the words of everlasting life. To whom else shall we go? So John chapter 6 is an invitation to each of us to look at the teaching of the Eucharist and what it means personally for us in our lives.
And that teaching of the Eucharist is that Jesus is really present in the worshiping assembly, in the proclamation of the word, and the sacred elements, consecrated elements of bread and wine, in the service and the sacrifice of the church. And Jesus is so ninja-like when he says, hey, if you don't get this part, eat my body and drink my blood, let me give it to you with let me wash your feet. So it pulls the whole notion of Eucharist as not some manifestation of this is a belief, but this is a belief in action. And that's why, for me personally, the Eucharist is so essential.
Now, in writing a song that speaks to these huge theological topics like this, do the words come first and you read scripture and then it inspires the music? Or does music remind you of you're playing or working on a tune, it reminds you and throws you back to, I was just thinking about the washing of the feet and the loaves and fishes the other day. Or is it is it both?
It's a good question, John, and it really depends on the song. For this, because the lyrics are so heavy on teaching,
yeah.
I started with the words. Mm-hmm. I started with the response, where shall we go? Whom shall we follow, Lord, but you? And then I started asking, well, why is Jesus asking that question? And I looked at the passages beforehand on the teaching of the Eucharist. And then like I said, I've had this song for many years. I had one set of melody and chords. I didn't like that, and I did another set of melody. And then finally, Jesse and I were trying to come up with songs for our Fish With Me album. And I think I made a demo recording. I played you one melody, and I sent it to you, and then you made some modifications on it. And so that's how it evolved. Well, so this one did start with the words, yes.
Yeah, I love that notion of the evolution of a song and bringing more people into it and more voices till it comes to its fruition. And I'm so excited for you guys. It sounds wonderful. And you're going to play it today, right?
Yes,
I think so.
Yeah, absolutely.
And hopefully not with me in the band. Because
You've got two of the lead verses, I believe.
I mean, I play a main kazoo, but I don't know if that would lead.
Tambourine?
Yeah, no.
You'll be with us in spirit.
There you go. Thanks, Jesse. So stick around, Jesse and Ken. Where shall we go?
shall we go? Whom shall we follow? You have the words of everlasting life. You are the Christ, the Holy One of God. Whom shall we follow, Lord, but you? Jesus said, I am the bread of life. Come to me and you will never hunger. Whom shall we go? Whom shall we follow? You have the words of everlasting life. You are the Christ, the Holy One of God. Whom shall we follow, Lord, but you? Jesus said, I am the bread of heaven. Those who eat this bread will live forever. Where shall we go? Whom shall we follow? You have the words of everlasting life. You are the Christ, the Holy One of God. Whom shall we follow, Lord, but you? Jesus said, my words are spirit and life. I call you now to faith. Do you believe? Where shall we go? Whom shall we follow? You have the words of everlasting life. You are the Christ, the Holy One of God. Whom shall we follow, Lord, but you? Who shall we follow, Lord, but you? Whom shall we follow, Lord?